esteemed faculty, proud family members, honored guests, and above all, accomplished graduates. It's a proud privilege to stand before you today and celebrate the culmination of your hard work, dedication, and preservation. You might appreciate this. They first asked the smartest person they could find to give the graduation speech, and he declined. Then they asked the most attractive person they could find to give the graduation speech, but he declined. Then they asked the most popular person they could find to give the speech, and he declined. And then they asked me, and I said, "Darn, you're persistent. That's the fourth time. I guess I better do it." Each of you has traveled a unique and challenging path to reach this milestone. You've balanced coursework with life's demands, overcome obstacles, and pushed through boundaries of your potential. I suspect if we could look deeply into your lives, we would see some working full-time while trying to handle as many classes as they can. Some having young children and trying to squeeze in classes. Some have work and family. Some of you are taking care of loved ones. And some of you may even struggle with learning. It seems that when I was young, I struggled not only with learning, but, well, you decide. I have excerpts from my kindergarten report card I thought I would share with you. My teacher was Mrs. Clyde. Under reading, she gave me this description. Reads well orally, but workbook skills aren't being learned. He should try harder. English would do much better if he listened to directions. Handwriting, very sloppy. Doesn't seem to have a good attitude. Music, art, and physical education works fine. He isn't often a good sport. Social behavior, can't play well or work well around others. Socks, hits, and says bad words often. My chief weakness, doesn't respect authority or property of others. Respect of material is poor, doesn't listen to directions. And finally, she had chief strengths, a chance to make it all up. This is what she listed for my chief strength. He has a good mind, but he doesn't always use it. Sounds like the perfect background for a politician. Ooh. But somehow I made it. And somehow you've made it, despite all of our weaknesses. And although I like to take credit for what I am, in truth, I've been surrounded by those who have helped me. So briefly, let me just describe 3 attributes that I challenge you with as you move forward from this graduation to embrace in your life. And yes, the first is gratitude. I think of my office in Washington, D.C., and the nice lady Janice, who if I'm there at my office 10 o'clock at night, I'll find her cleaning my office so that we can be ready for the next day. I think of all the people who quietly work behind the scenes to help you get your degree. You know, you may not feel like it. You may feel like you did a lot of this yourself. But the state legislators and the state taxpayers and the teachers and the faculties all contributed. And it's my experience that as you go through life, that if you look everywhere around you, you will find people that have made it possible for you to do the things that you do. Think about this. Even driving here tonight, you drove on roads that probably cost somewhere between $2 and $3 million per mile that somebody else paid so you could get here. And that's my experience all around us. Okay, lesson number 2, leave the world better than you found it. Now, there's probably a lot of Boy Scouts out there. I was a Boy Scout, and my Scoutmaster taught me to leave my campground better than I found it. And despite those teachings, I can remember very clearly the lake we were at when I washed my dishes in the lake and put all of the yuck from my dishes in the lake. And my scoutmaster walked by and looked in this pristine lake next to a beautiful mountain and saw my dirty food in the water. And he looked me in the eye and he said, "That's not what I taught you as a scout. I taught you to leave the world better than you found it in your campsite." And I promise all of you, if you go through this life with that expectation that you're going to leave every interaction, every class, every relationship, every meeting, every part of this world better than you found it, it will bring great joy to your life. My wife, when we go for a walk, has a habit that sometimes drives me crazy. She picks up the trash. So much so that we have to go out of our way to find a trash can. But actually, it's pretty impressive because she leaves the world better than she found it. Thank you. I've been married 42 years. And she's out there someplace. Hi, Sue. I don't know where you are. Okay, lesson number 3. You will find what you're looking for. What does that mean? People ask me about my job in Washington, D.C., assuming that I will tell them how terrible it is. And there's lots of bad. But you know what? You find what you look for. I used to tell employees that worked for me for Provo City that if you come to work convinced it's going to be a bad day, it will be a bad day. And if you come to work convinced it's going to be a good day, it will be a good day. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite stories that I used to tell my employees, I want to leave with you. And it's a story about a barber in a small little town. And in the morning, somebody walked into his barber shop and sat down in his chair and said, "You know, I'm new to this town. Can you tell me what it's like here and what to expect?" And the barber wisely said, "Well, tell me what it's like in the town you came from." And the person in the barber chair said, "I didn't like it. The people weren't nice. The politicians were all corrupt. It was just not a good place. And I couldn't find a job, and people were just mean, and I didn't like it at all." Well, the barber looked him in the eye and said, "You know what? You're not going to like it here. This is just like the place you left." And later that afternoon, in the same barber shop, somebody walked in and sat down in the chair and said to the barber, "We're new here. Can you tell me what to expect?" And the barber wisely said, "Tell me what it was like in the town you moved from." And the person said, "We loved it. We had so many good friends. People were kind. It was beautiful. They took care of the parks, and the politicians were awesome." And the barber looked him in the eye and said, "You're going to really like it here. It's just exactly like the place you left." And that's my promise to you, that if you look for the good, you will find it. And if you look for the bad, you will find it in life. Now, I conclude by simply wishing you congratulations. Thank you for the honor of being here with you today. I'm so proud, and congratulations to all of you graduates.